Second. Take it away, Don.
All right, guys, let's get started. Welcome to the inaugural Rush press conference. I don't know who came up with the name, but I like it. I think it's going to stick. Today, we're joined by four talented mixed martial artists set to compete at CFFC 128 on Friday, December 15th at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I'm just going to introduce everybody, the four fighters and our special guests. I'll ask a few questions. We'll get started. So the first matchup, Superfly Sean Felton taking on Ruthless Rob Varicchio in a three-round lightweight bout. Felton is fighting out of WNY MMA in Buffalo, New York. He's trained with some of the best fighters in the world, the likes of Patchy Mix, Solomon Renfro. He's fought for King of the Cage. He's fought for Bellator, and he enters this first fight under the Cage Fury banner, boasting a 5-4-1 professional record. Welcome, Superfly Sean Felton. He's taken on the undefeated, ruthless Rob Varicchio, fighting out of Tiger Showman's by way of Staten Island, New York City. He's also trained with some of the best fighters in the world, Julio Arce, Shane Burgos, Jimmy Rivera. He's also trained with Solomon Renfro, just like Sean, so that's going to be a tough watch for my guy Sol next week. Varicchio has finished each and every man that stood across from him in the cage to date in his professional career. He's looking to extend his perfect record to 5-0 when he steps in the CFFC cage for the third time come December 15th. Our second matchup, we have Tank Jitsu, Frank Wells, training out of Henzo Grace's Academy in New York City. Wells has retained a wealth of experience within the CFFC promotion. This is your eighth appearance, Wells' eighth appearance for the organization in just over 3 years. He boasts a 4-3 professional record with impressive victories over Damian Nelson and Ontario Gladney. Wells is stepping in on short notice, and he's going to look to make a statement next week when he's met by our fourth guest this evening, Robert Wustig, who fights out of Bulletproof MMA. Wustig is the most experienced fighter of the four, having amassed 23 professional victories to date. He's nicknamed the Real Deal. Robert Wustig will look to get back in the wing club in a big way against an opponent that he too agreed to fight on short notice. Also joining us today is our special guest, the man, the myth, the legend, Robert Haydak. Thank you for taking the time this evening. I know it's pretty late, but we're going to get through this. We're going to have a good time. So, and then in addition to our five guests, we welcome a great panel of media members tonight who are eager to ask some good questions. We hope to get some good answers as well. We even managed to get Tyler out of his mom's basement for this one. So all the Robs are in attendance. We got Supervibe, we got Tank Jitsu here. So without further ado, let's get started. So I'm going to ask each of our five guests one question, and then I'm going to turn it over to our talented panel of journalists who will ask a maximum of 3 questions total. I'm looking at you, Jake, maximum of 3 questions total. Everyone, let's have a good time. I'll start with Superfly, Sean Felton.
What's
Sean,
good, man?
what's up? What's up? Long time no see. UFC veteran Felipe Silva recently joined the team of coaches out there at WNY MMA.
Yes, sir.
Someone you seemingly worked closely with in these past few weeks in preparation for this bout. What can you tell me about your experience working under Felipe, and do you feel like he's helped you elevate your game to a new level in recent months?
Oh man, Felipe Silva's been a blessing, bro. He's been with us for about a year and a half, almost 2 years, and he's just out changing the whole culture at WNY MMA and fitness, elevating the whole squad. We're all peaking right now. It's just a blessing in disguise, my man. I love that he's here. It's changed my overall game a lot, and I can't wait to showcase the new skills that we've honed in on come December 15th in 10 days, big dog. I'm excited, real excited to showcase what I got coming.
Definitely. You told me you got a couple new things you're working on. I'm excited to see it next week.
Yeah,
Your opponent,
I can't wait.
yes, sir. Then my next question is for your opponent, Ruthless Rob Verricchio. Rob, you have looked just about unbeatable throughout the early stages of your professional career. What are some things you do at the gym or you tell yourself on a daily basis in order to continue improving as a mixed martial artist, not only physically, but mentally as well?
That it's only the beginning. I'm not really, too happy with all my fights. Every fight there's always something that I pick at. I take big pride in like watching Demetri Johnson. He goes in and he just destroys everybody. And the minute the fight's over, he sits back and he's like, all right, what did I do wrong? And that's what I do. I pinpoint every little thing I do wrong and I make sure I rectify it. So next fight, it's a lot better. Yeah, that's about it.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Next question. The next matchup, Frank Wells. I'm going to pin you real quick. Frank, you seem to improve with each victory you recorded in CFFC, though you're yet to record a submission victory so far in your professional career. What can you tell me about the work you've gotten in under Coach Jamie Crowder, and how do you feel your ground game stacks up against your opponent? Robert Wustigs? You're muted. Wait, let me unmute you. Wait. Let me unmute you. Got it?
Boom. We're good now, I think.
Yep, got you.
Hear me? All right. Yeah. So here's a question. I mean, I came into professional MMA with a long Muay Thai background where that was, my primary focus for like 5 or 6 years. And I really only started grappling once I started taking matches for professional MMA. So I definitely had, I was a little bit behind in that area. So that's obviously where like the majority of my training has been focused the last couple of years to kind of close that skill gap. I mean, I think with the same against Woostig that I do with everybody, I just kind of look to expose what I think that they're weak at. So, I don't know really where I'm outmatched in this fight. So, I mean, if we find ourselves in the ground, I think I'll do well. We find ourselves in the feet, I always do well there. Yeah. So, I mean, I haven't seen too much of his offensive grappling, so it's tough for me to comment on that. But from what I've seen on the defensive side, I think there's opportunity should we end up there.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to give you an opportunity, Robert, to answer that, to respond to that, how you feel your ground game stacks up against his, and how much of a factor do you feel like your experience will play in this upcoming bout with Frank Wells?
Man, what's up, guys? My jiu-jitsu, I think, is one of the best or one of my fortes out there. Like I haven't really showed it much in my recent fights, but I feel like that's where I started off at, and I trained with the best back home in Guam. I trained with the best, jiu-jitsu artists back home, and I trained a lot of UFC veterans and all those guys out there, and they prepared me for the best out there, to come out here. Coming out here, I didn't have much jiu-jitsu like work this whole year because I just moved out here, coming from a small island. I came out here to pursue my dreams and goals, and to support my wife and kids. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm just gonna do what I gotta do best and just win this fight. That's all I gotta say.
Of course, that's great to hear. And you're out here representing Guam. I think that's really cool. I got one more question for the CEO. I hope you had your bourbon tonight, Mr. Robert Haydak. What do you make of these two matchups? And for the people out there that might not be too well versed with CFFC, what can fans expect to see at CFFC 128 on December 15th?
I mean, all four guys on this call, there's one consistent theme. They all like to stand. They all like to throw bombs. Obviously, we're very familiar with Vericchio, Woostig, and Wells, who have fought for us before. I'm also very familiar with Sean Felton. This is a guy who started his career at 4-0 right off the get-go. And if you go back and you look, those four fights, his opponents had a combined 19 professional fights. So clearly he's a guy that takes on challenges, and he's got his hands full with Vericchio. So I'm looking very much forward to that fight. If you look at Robert in his last fight, Woostig, he fought on 72 hours notice. He made weight. He was doing medicals on the day of weigh-ins. He came in and fought another highly touted prospect in Anthony Deleme. They had a war. That very same night, you saw Frank Wells literally chop the legs off of his opponent after facing adversity early on. So again, the constant theme throughout all four of these guys is they bring it each and every time.
So we're in for a good night, December 15th in Atlantic City.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, without further ado, let me turn it over to my talented journalists out here. We'll start with Jake Noaker. Jake, you have the floor. Let me unmute you real quick. You got to click unmute.
Now we're good, right? You can hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Thanks, Rush. Appreciate you. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And Rob Haydak, we'll keep it with you. Just, big year, 2023, going out on a massive card. You guys got the grappling and the Muay Thai happening too. So I guess 2024, what do we have in store? What can you say about Cage Fury? What kind of goals do you guys have?
A lot more of the same. We're in contract renegotiations now, so you'll see at least another 12 MMA events for next year. We are adding a new market. We will be out in Las Vegas for some events, both MMA and Muay Thai. We will launch Muay Thai this year in Philadelphia on January 27th. In addition to that, we're going to increase the number of grappling matches with Fury Pro Grappling. In addition to that, we're also now into college wrestling. So expect a lot of events in 2024 with that as well. So it's definitely going to be a very busy year.
Awesome. Can't wait. Looking forward to all the excitement. And this next one is for Frank Wells. Frank, we're supposed to have an interview like before this started, but we did this instead. So one question for you I'm wondering about is, win here is 2 in a row. You carry a lot of hype. You're a big name in Cage Fury. So what are your goals for 2024, keeping the theme the same? Like, where's that title picture lie?
I just got to stay busy. Obviously, after the fight last year, I had to take a little bit of time off. And then I was preparing for a fight. I broke my hand. I had a kid. So I had a lot of stuff like going on earlier in the year. And then I was able to return finally in September. So ideally, I don't like 9 months in between fights. I like to fight 3-4 times a year if possible. I kept that pace pretty much my whole career up until COVID happened. So I would really like to get back on that pace. Just keep winning fights and wherever that puts me. Every single guy that I've fought, I've hurt, I've done damage to, I've had exciting fights with. So I'm just going to keep doing that, and looking for those finishes. I had to kind of rewire my approach after the end of last year to stop trying to like out skill and out technique guys and actually start hurting them and try to get them out of there. So that's what we're looking to do. Just hurt dudes, and whatever comes out of that is what we'll take.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you. And then last one is for Sean Felton. Sean, likewise, we were supposed to have an interview, and I did get to interview your opponent, Rob Vericchio. So I asked Rob, hey, what are your thoughts on Sean Felton? I'm going to be interviewing him. Anything you'd like to say? Rob, very humble, he said nothing but respect. Said he usually doesn't like to focus on his opponents. He focuses on himself. So I'm going to ask you the same question. What are your thoughts on Rob? And he's right here in front of you. First impressions, anything to say?
Respect to him as well. I'm in the same boat. I've been really focusing on myself this camp, just trying to get better everywhere so we can take this fight wherever we need to take it to get the win on December 15th. Definitely did study him a lot, though. Still studying his game, but really just focusing on myself. I'm just trying to be the best version of myself in 10 days. And I definitely think you're going to see that, and it's going to come with a victory.
Best of luck, gentlemen. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
We're going to throw it over to Dylan Napoleon. Dylan, the newest addition to Cageside Press. Your mic is hot.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Rush, for putting this together. I'm looking forward to this coming weekend and seeing these guys fight. I'll start with you, Robert Wustig. Robert, you're going to have a big experience advantage in this fight. How do you see that playing out for you? How do you see that making a difference in this fight?
I think experience-wise, I got the edge, but like it doesn't matter, what experience you have. I'm just gonna, go in there and just, finish this fight. I'm looking for the finish, and I'm just trying to showcase my skills and be the best I can, and just keep getting that W so I can, get back to winning.
Awesome, thank you. And for Rob Vericchio, you're someone who people say have a bright future in this sport. You're someone who people are really looking forward to seeing progress. What can you tell me about the leaps and bounds that you've made early on in your career?
There's not much. I really owe it all to my team. They're the ones who push me every day. Like there are days where I don't want to do what I do, and then they're the ones there, lifting me up and bringing me to great heights. Like Rush said, I train with some of the best people in the world, and mentally and physically prepared me for the worst. Like if there's a place where I'm, if there's a place where I feel like I'm vulnerable, they'll sit there and they'll show me like, okay, let's work this, let's work that, let's work this, let's work that. This is what you do, this is what you do, and shit like that. So leaps and bounds. My team, we have a new addition, a guy named Bobby, trained down in Sanford, showing us the intricacies of like little things on the ground. So I'm very, every fight is just a little bit more of an improvement.
Ruthless aggression, baby.
That's it, dog.
Thank you, man. And for Sean Felton, I was there at your Bellator debut here in Connecticut when you took on Aviv Gonzalez. That was a big time experience. What can you tell me about the way that experience helped you, that's a big time thing. How did that help you become a better fighter at a young stage, if that makes sense?
No, didn't go my night that night. Had a real short training camp for Aviv, and during COVID didn't have the best camp, but it is what it is. He was a better man that night, and I learned a lot from that experience, the goods, the bads. Made me a better person, maybe a better fighter, the way it went down, and it was just a blessing, man. Fight for one of the top promotions in the world, and I wouldn't be here right now if it didn't go down that way. So I'm just blessed and just fortunate that I got to learn from that experience, and I didn't just be like, oh, I just lost. Like, I definitely learned and grew from what happened that night, and just can't wait to get in there, man.
Oh, I'm not muted. All right, well, thank you guys. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys fight this weekend. Wish everybody the best of luck.
Later, homie.
Thank you.
We're going to pass over to Pat Dana. It's next weekend, Dylan. It's December 15th is the fight, just so our viewers don't.
Yeah, I realize now that you say that. Yeah, I was looking at two different cards as tonight, so I apologize.
There's a million cards this month. We're going to go to Pat Dana. Pat Dana, how you doing?
Hi, guys. How are we today?
If Pat's here, I'm leaving. I don't know.
Oh, come on. All right. So my first question is actually for Sean Felton. So this is your UFC Fight Pass debut, Sean. What does that mean to you to have your UFC Fight Pass debut and against such a high-level prospect in Rob Barricchio?
Yeah, man, it's a blessing, man. Like, I can't wait. I'm real excited. When I actually ended up reaching out to CFFC because I was supposed to be fighting in November, it didn't happen, and they just happened to have somebody available at the 155-pound division. They shot me the name. We looked them up, and we really like the matchup. Rob's real good. I like what he's doing, but I definitely my team and I definitely believe that we can definitely win this fight. We just gotta, we had a real good camp so far, real great camp. Just trying to get better and better every day, and ready to rock and roll, brother.
Thank you. So this one's for CEO Rob. So Fury Pro 8 was recently announced with 6 UFC fighters and numerous other big names in grappling and MMA on the card. Just wanted to ask, how did such a big card come together for the end of the year? Was that something that had been in the works, or is that something that you kind of just were able to make and couldn't turn down?
Yeah, it's sort of been the track record for Fury Pro Grappling with the UFC, who's been a great partner. Usually the last event of the year, we dial it up a few notches. And anytime you get the opportunity to take on somebody like Aljamain Sterling, we jumped at the opportunity. And if you look at that, I mean, you have the Dawkins brothers on there as well. You have UFC heavyweight Romanoff on there. You got Pat Sabatini, Nico Price, and there's going to be several more UFC fighters announced over the next week or so.
That's awesome to hear. I can't wait to see some of the more announcements that get made. So my last one is for Frank Wells. So Frank, this will be your third fight at 155 in CFFC, and it's your second fight in a row. Is this a permanent move now, or does that move up to 155 dependent on the outcome of this fight?
No, it's definitely just it depends on the person. I'm definitely a 145-pound fighter. Even after the last fight, that's I was looking for an opponent. I wasn't really getting offered anybody, and they offered Ontario about 5 weeks out. So I was kind of worried if I didn't take the fight that I would just be left off the card. And he was like a big, strong dude, but I didn't think his skills were there. So I thought, the disparity of skills I could make up for the size. And after feeling that dude, I was like, no shot am I staying at 55. However, Robert's like me, a 45er that's just now not cutting weight. I mean, if you make 55 on like 2 days notice, I don't think you're like the real big size of a 55er. So this kind of circumstance, I was okay with it. Again, but like if I'm fighting like real 150, it's like I'm offered real 155ers in the future. Like that's not what I'm looking to do. I'm a 45er for sure.
Got it. Thank you, boys. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure.
We're going to take our next question from 4 Ounces of Freedom podcast. Zach Kaufman. Zach, how you doing, man?
Great. First question's for Ruthless Rob.
Hey.
So, as many of you know, you're fighting with a bigger purpose coming into this one. What about your opponent? His record. If you take all your past opponents and combine them together, his record's almost matchable. What about this fight piques your interest the most?
Well, he's from a pretty good gym. You know, W New York MMA has some very talented fighters. Um, you know, I saw a couple of his fights. I saw the Bellator fight. It was the first one I saw that when we got the name from when he fought the leg lock dude, and then I saw a couple of his King of the Cage fights. You know, and I was impressed. He's very well rounded. You know, so I like tough fights. You know, I like people who are experienced. I don't like going into fights with easy names. That's why I took the fight with Tom Majeski in my third fight, even though he had 5 fights. I took the fight. My last fight, the guy was undefeated, Evans, because he was a great striker, and I wanted to show everyone that I could bang. I took this fight because this guy Sean has a huge record. You know, regardless of him being 5-4-1, he's good. He's sharp. So I took it because I know that there's no easy fights coming up. And the more experience I get, the more wins I get, the harder the fight's going to be. So I'm with the more experienced fighters, the later I get in my career. So
awesome. And then next one's to Frank Wells. Hey, Frank. So since Pat already stole my question about the 155, and you kind of hinted you want to go back to 145, going back down there, is anyone of interest that piques your interest at 145?
I'm sure there's people I do like the idea of Anthony Delemme, especially again, barring the result of his fight. He's on the same show. But I'm really not trying to think too far ahead. I just got to worry about Wustig. I kind of started setting my sights a little too far in advance, and I think that that cost me a little bit in my approach in previous fights. So I kind of started scrapping that idea and just kind of looking at what's directly in front of me.
Awesome, thank you. And then Haydak. So this year, match day, multiple CFFC events, expansions into South Dakota, North Dakota, whatever Dakota it was. You said Vegas next year. Any other locations? More West Coast, Northwest?
Yeah, I mean we're going back out to North Dakota. Like I said, we'll be in Las Vegas. Obviously, back down in Florida. When you look at what we do in each market, we typically put on 2 or 3 events a year to keep the fighters in that marketplace active. We still have parks up here, so that pretty much fills up our schedule right there. So we'll typically try to add 1 new market each year going forward.
So thanks, everyone.
My man.
Next, we're gonna go over to Michael Hernandez. Michael, I'm gonna unmute you right now. Your mic is hot.
Alrighty, y'all. First question. This is going out to Frank Chopper Wells. So, Frank, I know you talked a little bit about how you had a little bit of Muay Thai experience going into this fight, and a big talk of this fight has been the experience of Lustig. But you yourself, you've been in amateur MMA at least since 2013. Do you feel like your experience has kind of been undermined a little bit going into this fight due to Lustig's longer career?
Yeah, I mean, because if you look at total fights, Wustig started fighting a long time ago and didn't have any amateur fights. So listen, he's got 23 fights as a professional. I think for MMA, this is going to be my 15th. So that in itself is not a ton of an experience gap. But I also had 26 MMA fights. I'm sorry, MMA fights, 26 Muay Thai fights. So I know it's not MMA, but it's still getting in the ring, fighting other dude trying to kick your ass. It's still competition experience. So yeah, there's a lot of talk about the experience gap, but I don't really think that there is. They just don't document the Muay Thai fight so well. So yeah, it's his 24th fight. It's my 41st. So I have the more experience as far as actual stepping into the competition circle.
Yeah, definitely with the Muay Thai sanctioning, it can be a little bit rough. So very, very sorry to hear that your fights haven't been going all up. But next question going out to Sean. Actually, so Sean, a lot of your fights you've managed to take opponents to distance, and you've managed to pull out a lot of gritty performances as well. What are your thoughts going against a guy like Robert Barricchio that's obviously going in there putting opponents away early? Does your game plan at all change going into a fight like this, or is it always the same kind of plan, just sharpening up the skills that you have?
Yeah, no, Rob's definitely dangerous, man. He's got what, 3 knockouts in the first, one in the third. So I know he's got heavy hands, got some nice kicks, ground games, good as well. But man, I'm long, I'm rangy. Like I said earlier with Dylan, man, Felipe Silva. I didn't really get to showcase it that much in my last fight. Got hurt pretty early, and we've been building off that, and I just can't wait to showcase what we got coming, man. Like, I think you're gonna be in for a big surprise come December 15th, and you're just gonna see a different, dangerous, more dangerous Superfly in all areas, and we're gonna get the job done, baby.
I think
You're still rocking the St. Louis gear?
Come on, baby, St. Louis,
Bro, I think some of us are too young for that St. Louis Rams gear. I'm gonna kick it over to Mom's Basement MMA. I'm unmuting you, Mr. Tyler Little. Best for last. Tyler, how you doing, man?
Doing well, thanks, Dylan, and thanks everybody. I am going to start with Westag. Rob, you are the type of guy that you've built up a reputation, man. You are an anytime, any place type of guy. Everyone really respects the hell out of you. Rob had mentioned, you showed up on basically zero notice last fight, made weight, really impressed the hell out of everybody. I think about your opponent, Frank Wells. You're talking about a guy who's a very dangerous striker, a very gifted striker at that. You've had a little bit of time now to prepare for this opponent compared to your last fight. What's going to be the key to getting a victory over a highly talented striker like this?
My key to victory is just to win this fight and just, like outpace. That's what I've been training with, is outpace my opponent and try to just come forward and not give any movement, because I watch a couple of his fights and he likes to throw leg kicks and those straights down the middle, and if I can just come forward and not make him use those those kicks and all that stuff, and then I feel like I can win that fight with all the pressure I give. And I fought a lot of top kickboxers and Muay Thai guys, so it's like doesn't really fit. He's a great fighter. I respect him a lot, but like, I'm here to win my fight, and he's here to win this fight. So I'm just gonna go in there and with the mindset that I'm just gonna win this fight.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. We'll go over to Mr. Ruthless here. Ruthless, how are we doing tonight? You look good as always. One of the things that stands out to me about you, obviously, when I think of Tiger.
Oh, sorry. My bad. Sorry.
Do I need to start over?
No, I heard you. I was just, because I'm handsome.
Rob, you are a freestyle fighter, in my opinion. I know Tiger is synonymous with striking, but you can do everything really, really well. As of late, your grappling, though, is what has been very, very impressive to me. And when you approach a guy like Felton, who's incredibly dangerous, you're talking about a guy that has proven on his resume that he can put people away. Is that sort of like the key to beating somebody like this, making it a very technical fight, tapping into your grappling and approaching him with like a grappling based game plan in mind? Obviously, you're a freestyle guy, like I just said before. I know you can do it all, but do you feel like you have a grappling advantage over your opponent?
I'm not. I don't really like to boast about my own skills too much, but we have a game plan set in mind that I think is gonna overall just obviously give me the W. But like I said, I train the best people in the world, and they give me the best looks possible. So if you're talking about technical standpoint, taking to like the grappling game, it could be. I think my striking is pretty sharp as well. I think my grappling game is really good. Like I train with Mancha Kera. I've trained with Dylan Dennis. I train with some of the best grapplers in the world. And to say that my grappling is the main way for me to win, I wouldn't say that. I also wouldn't say strike is the main way for me to win. But I think I'm dangerous everywhere. I've evolved greatly since my last fight, even though it was only 2 months ago. I've evolved immensely since last year. So I'm just I'm a whole new person going into this one. So I'm super excited, super stoked. I just can't wait to get out there and sling some fucking leather,
Thank you, sir. Well, best of skill on
So,
December.
Tyler, if you have any pictures of you with the braids back then, I would love to see them.
Well,
Just
you
saying.
know, we'll see. Best of skill, Rob. I appreciate you. And I had one kind of final question, and it's for Mr. Haydak. It's basically this: the landscape of MMA, it's changing significantly, especially over the past few years. And I'm just kind of curious. Here we are, December 2023. When you think about like kind of like the next 5 years and what you envision CFC potentially becoming in the near term future, like what are some of the top priorities for CFFC at this point in time to maintain its position as one of the best regional promotions in the country?
A lot of the same. You know, we don't suffer from delusions of grandeur. We don't ever see ourselves competing with the likes of PFL and the UFC. We like the space that we're in. We're a developmental organization. Our goal is to go out and find top athletes, top MMA, mixed martial artists, such as the 4 gentlemen you have on this call. And it's our objective to get them to the next level. And we also want to put them in a position where they feel the big lights. They're in a big atmosphere like the Hard Rock in Atlantic City. It pays dividends down the road. That's one testimonial that comes back to us all the time from athletes who go from CFFC onto the UFC is they don't have the nerves like they typically would. Of course, they're going to get them, but we try to dumb them down a little bit by having the quality of production that we do and first class venue. So a lot of the same. We're not going to change much.
I think that was our last question, guys. You guys asked some great questions. Journalists, give yourself a hand, but you're muted, so we won't hear it. But thank you guys. Thank the media. Thank the fighters. That was a great time. Good luck in these next 2 weeks with the training with the cutting weight. CFFC 128 on Friday, December 15th at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Good luck, everybody. Thanks for taking the time tonight.
Appreciate
Larry
y'all.
Dill.
And by the way,
Yeah,
Rob,
you.
I'll send my braider over there to the East Coast. I got you, my man. Whenever that hair's all
I
ready.
am Mike. You the man, dude. I appreciate you, homie.
See you
Yeah.
guys.
We're gonna have
Be
Rob
good.
rocking some fresh
Peace.
braids.